The WNBA has been captivating fans for over 25 years, but behind the scenes, it's battling an uphill war for financial stability. And why is that? What's holding back this powerhouse of potential from raking in the same profits as its male counterparts? Truth might surprise you. It's not only about who is the bigger star or who has more fans. This is a structural financial imbalance that has rendered the WNBA's apparent independence from the NBA's operational help, which is why it has been able to stand for this long. The NBA, which owns almost 60% of the WNBA, has been injecting funds into the WNBA since it was founded in 1996. At first, this funding appeared as a constructive measure asking people to be patient regarding the sustainability of professional women's sports. Still, after almost 3 decades, the WNBA has not yet gone beyond breaking even. Given the yearly revenue losses hovering at $40 million, NBA league owners are beginning to wonder what factors will enable the WNBA to create a self-sustaining business. This financial burden has consequences. There's pressure from the top to generate returns, which means the WNBA has to find ways to either cut costs, increase revenue, or, here's the tricky part, somehow manage to do both without sacrificing the league's growth. Recent increases in ratings and sponsorship show promise, but the WNBA is caught in a financial catch-22. It needs more money to grow, but it needs to grow to make more money.
Game 2 of the WNBA Finals racked up 1.35 million viewers, and as you can see from this chart right here, it had been over 20 years since the WNBA Finals had seen over 1 million viewers, so this was huge news for the WNBA.
In recent years, the WNBA has seen a surge of interest thanks to new stars like Caitlin Clark and Sabrina Ionescu. These players bring something fresh to the league, they're talented, charismatic, and they're breaking records. Clark's college games, for example, drew over 18 million viewers, more than some men's games, which is a huge milestone for women's basketball. Reese, known for her bold play style and media presence, has become an icon, attracting new fans and tons of media attention. And this star power is crucial because it draws in new viewers, raises ratings, and brings in sponsors who might not have previously been interested in women's basketball. The WNBA recently saw a 16% rise in viewership, and brands like Nike and AT&T have jumped on board with sponsorship deals. For the first time in over 10 years, the season was the most viewed season in WNBA history, which indicates that there is more engagement than before. Nevertheless, the rise in popularity has its own issues. WNBA athletes, despite being more popular, earn a fraction of the amount that NBA players earn. For instance, as a rookie professional, Caitlin Clark will make about $76,000. In contrast, the typical salary for an NBA player is more than $12 million. Of course, budgets are restrained for the WNBA because of the smaller revenues, but many supporters proclaim that these youngsters are worth being paid in such a way that would be reflective of their worth. One of the most controversial expenses in recent WNBA history is travel. In most professional leagues, charter flights are standard. NBA players travel on private planes to ensure they arrive rested and ready to play. But in the WNBA, players have had to endure long waits, flight delays, and commercial flights, a stark contrast to the luxury that NBA players are accustomed to. After years of complaints and social media outrage, the WNBA agreed this season to provide charter flights for their playoff games. This was a big win for the players, and it helped boost the league's image by showing that it cares about its athletes' well-being. However, there's a major downside to this decision: cost. Each charter flight can run the NBA up to $100,000, a heavy expense for a league that's already losing millions every year. So the league wants to invest in its players and improve their experience, but it doesn't have the revenue to cover these expenses. Flying private improves both player performance and the league's reputation, but it's financially unsustainable for a league that's not profitable. For every step forward, there seems to be a financial cap. Sponsorship deals have always been a lifeline for the WNBA. Partnerships with brands like Nike, AT&T, and Google have given the league much needed cash flow, allowing it to fund marketing, events, and pay for player facilities. However, sponsorships alone can't keep the WNBA afloat forever, and they don't fill all the gaps in the league's finances. Plus, sponsorship dollars are often contingent on viewership numbers, so the league has constantly worked to attract and retain fans. Building a fan base for the WNBA isn't easy. Men's sports have enjoyed decades of infrastructure support and exposure that the WNBA is only beginning to tap into. To bridge this gap, the WNBA has heavily focused on digital and social media to engage younger fans, hoping to create a more loyal following. But growing a fan base is a slow process, and the league's finances leagues need results now. Despite these efforts, the WNBA's television ratings remain relatively low compared to the NBA, and while viewership is improving, the league is competing for attention in an era of information overload, where every sport, game, and athlete is vying for a piece of the public's attention. So while sponsorships provide a crucial revenue stream, they also bring added pressure to show significant growth quickly, which is challenging for any growing league. Television deals are a major revenue source for most professional sports leagues, and for the WNBA, there is no exception. In recent years, the league's viewership has been climbing, with a 16% increase last season, reaching over 1 million views for the first time. While this growth is promising, the WNBA's TV deals still pale in comparison to those of the NBA. The WNBA's current TV deal with ESPN, which reportedly brings in around $25 million per year, is significantly smaller than the NBA's, which is a massive $2.6 billion annually. And while ESPN's partnership has provided some stability, it doesn't inject enough cash to fully cover the WNBA's growing costs, such as travel, marketing, and player development. And to make matters more complicated, streaming platforms like Amazon Prime and YouTube are beginning to play a role in broadcasting WNBA games. These platforms have the potential to reach a broader, more tech-savvy audience, but since the WNBA's current fan base is more accustomed to traditional TV, the league is navigating a tricky balance between expanding on digital platforms and retaining its core viewers. As it stands, the WNBA's revenue from these digital streams is minimal compared to the income generated by traditional sports TV contracts. For the WNBA to grow financially, it will likely need a new broadcast deal that values its recent growth in viewership. However, with media rights and broadcast deals constantly evolving, especially in the streaming age, finding the right mix is a challenge that will take time. The topic of pay disparity between the WNBA and NBA is a controversial one. While the NBA's highest paid players can make over $50 million annually in salary alone, the WNBA's maximum salary is around $250,000. This disparity is often cited as a direct result of the WNBA's lower revenue, but players argue that it's also about the revenue split itself.
We are not asking you to get paid what the men get paid. We're asking you to get paid the same percentage of revenue shared.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Got it. So that's a huge misconception.
That's a huge misconception.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah, because every video is like, oh, this person gets paid this person gets paid that, right?
So I want to be really clear about that. Like, I don't think I should get paid the same as LeBron.
Right.
But the percentage of revenue, like, for example, they sell my jersey in Mandalay Bay, I don't get a dime.
You don't get any money from jersey sales?
That's crazy.
In the NBA, they have percentages of revenue shared for the players, right? So jersey sales, obviously their TV contracts. You see these every year, these contracts get bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
Yeah.
Massive.
But that's because their CBA, it negotiates where if the owners are making certain types of money, they get that as well.
Got it.
In the WNBA, that's not the case.
In the NBA, players receive about 50% of the league revenue, while in the WNBA, players receive only around 20 or 30%. WNBA players argue that even with the league's smaller budget, they should be entitled to a larger share of the revenue. This issue came to a head during the 2020 collective bargaining agreement, where players negotiated for better pay, benefits, and bonuses, resulting in a 53% increase in salary and an increase in player revenue share. While the new deal brought positive changes, many players believe there's still a long way to go. The revenue split debate goes beyond just dollars too. It's about respect, visibility, and acknowledgement of the athlete's role in growing the league. However, increasing salaries without significantly boosting the revenue is financially risky, and the WNBA has to be cautious about making promises it just can't afford in the long run. One of the WNBA's biggest hurdles is how to capture and retain a larger fan base. The NBA and other major leagues have had decades to build up their fan engagement strategies, but WNBA is still working on establishing its own identity. Over the past few years, the WNBA has invested heavily in marketing, focusing on social media, player storytelling, and community engagement to build a stronger relationship with the fans. Social media has become an essential tool for the WNBA, especially reaching younger fans. The league has leaned into platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok to highlight player personalities, showcase key moments, and even address social issues. This strategy has paid off too, particularly among Gen Z viewers who value authenticity and social impact. While these digital efforts have boosted the engagement, they still don't directly translate into revenue yet. To achieve long-term profitability, the WNBA needs not only to grow its fan base, but also find ways to convert convert that engagement into ticket sales, merchandise purchases, and viewership on paid platforms. Ticket sales have been slow to recover post-pandemic, with some teams struggling to fill arenas, which shows that there's still a gap between online engagement and in-person attendance. As the league continues to push for equality and recognition in sports, the WNBA's journey to financial independence will be one of the most important stories to watch in the coming years. Question remains, will the WNBA find a way to thrive independently, or will it always have to rely on outside support? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, the league and its players aren't backing down from the fight.